The monitor flatlined for 3 seconds before the defibrillator shocked Park Jae-won's chest back into rhythm. "Again!" Dr. Kang shouted, sweat dripping down his temples. The second shock hit. Jae-won's body arched off the table, then collapsed. The heart monitor beeped erratically, alive but barely. "His body's rejecting the transfusion," the nurse whispered, ripping the IV line from his arm. Dark blood pooled on the sterile white sheets. Dr. Kang stepped back, his gloved hand shaking. Around them, the private hospital room was silent except for the machines and the shallow breathing of South Korea's most dangerous man. Outside the reinforced door, 6 armed guards waited. No police, no questions, just results. "How many donors have we tested?" Jae-won's right-hand man, Minho, asked from the corner. His voice was calm, but his jaw was tight. 47, Dr. Kang said. His blood type is O negative, but that's not the problem. His genetic markers are unusual. Every transfusion triggers an immune response. His body treats the blood like poison. Then find blood that isn't poison. It's not that simple. We'd need someone with nearly identical genetic sequencing. A sibling, a parent, I don't have siblings, Jae-won rasped from the bed, his eyes still closed. His voice was rough, barely audible. "And my parents are dead." Dr. Kang swallowed hard. "Then we need a miracle." Minho pulled out his phone. "How long does he have?" 72 hours, maybe less. Find the miracle. If this story has you hooked already, stay with me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what happens next will change everything. Across Seoul, in a cramped studio apartment in Naewon District, 28-year-old Maya Kim stared at the overdue rent notice taped to her door, 3 months behind. The landlord's handwriting was angry, all capital letters and red ink. She peeled it off, crumpled it, and tossed it onto the growing pile of bills on her kitchen counter. Another problem for another day. Maya grabbed her jacket and keys. She was already late for her shift at the diner, and her manager didn't tolerate excuses. Not anymore. Not after she asked for time off last month to deal with her mother's medical bills. The answer had been no. Life didn't pause for grief or debt. Outside, the November air bit at her face. She pulled her jacket tighter and walked quickly toward the subway. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Blood donors needed, compensation provided, immediate screening available." Maya stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. She'd donated blood before, back in college when they offered free movie tickets, but this felt different. Compensation meant money, real money. She clicked the link. The address was in Gangnam, at a private medical facility she'd never heard of. The payment offer flashed on the screen. 500,000 won for a single donation if you qualified as a rare match. 500,000 won. That was 2 months of rent. Maya's thumb hovered over the schedule appointment button. She thought about the eviction notice, the hospital bills still sitting in collections, her mother's grave she couldn't afford a proper headstone for yet. She pressed the button. The appointment was set for tomorrow morning. By the time Maya arrived at the clinic the next day, she'd almost talked herself out of it 3 times. The building was sleek, glass and steel, nestled between luxury car dealerships and designer boutiques. It didn't look like a place that needed to advertise for blood donors. Inside, the lobby was nearly empty. A receptionist in a pressed white uniform looked up as Maya approached. "I have an appointment. For the blood donor screening?" The receptionist's eyes flickered with something Maya couldn't read. Recognition, maybe? Or surprise? "Name?" "Maya Kim." The woman typed quickly, then picked up a phone. She spoke in a low voice, too quiet for Maya to hear. When she hung up, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Please have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly." Maya sat in one of the leather chairs, feeling out of place. The magazine on the table next to her was in English, some financial publication. She checked her phone. No new messages. The diner manager hadn't responded to her text saying she'd be late. "Miss Kim." A man in a white coat stood in the doorway. He was older, maybe 50, with tired eyes and the kind of posture that came from too many sleepless nights. "I'm Dr. Kang. Thank you for coming. If you'll follow me." Maya stood and followed him down a long hallway. The lighting was too bright. Everything smelled of disinfectant and something else, something metallic she couldn't place. They entered a small examination room. Dr. Kang gestured to the chair. We'll need to run a few tests first. Standard screening, blood type, genetic markers, infectious disease panel. Genetic markers? Maya frowned. I thought this was just a normal donation. It is, but we're looking for very specific compatibility. He prepared the needle, his movements practiced and efficient. This will only take a moment. Maya rolled up her sleeve, the needle pinched, and she watched her blood fill 3 vials, dark red, almost black in the fluorescent light. Dr. Kang labeled them carefully. We'll have results within an hour. Please wait in the lobby. That fast? We have an urgent case. Something in his tone made Maya's stomach tighten, but she nodded and left the room. In the lobby, she waited. 20 minutes passed, then 40. Other people came and went, men in expensive suits, women with designer handbags. No one else seemed to be there for a blood donation. Finally, the receptionist called her name. But it wasn't Dr. Kang who met her in the hallway. It was 2 men in black suits, and neither of them was smiling. Stay with me, because Maya's about to find out that some donations come with consequences she never saw coming. If you're hooked already, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment where you're watching from. You won't want to miss what happens next.
Miss Kim, please come with us. Maya's feet stayed planted on the polished floor. Where's Dr. Kang? The taller of the 2 men stepped forward. His face was blank, professional. Dr. Kang is with a patient. We'll take you to him. I can wait here. I'm afraid that's not possible. The second man moved to her other side, not threatening, but positioned. Maya's heart kicked into a faster rhythm. This wasn't normal. This wasn't how blood donation worked. Am I in trouble? She asked, hating how small her voice sounded. No trouble, the first man said, but your test results require immediate discussion. Please. He gestured down the hallway, away from the lobby, away from the exit. Maya looked back at the receptionist, but the woman was staring at her computer screen, deliberately not making eye contact. No help there. She had 2 choices, run or follow. Running meant questions she couldn't answer, bills she couldn't pay, and maybe, probably, these men catching her anyway. So she followed. They led her through a door marked private and down a staircase she hadn't seen before. The air grew cooler, the lighting dimmed. Maya's hands started to shake. Where are we going? You'll see. They reached a basement level. The hallway was narrower here, lined with unmarked doors. At the end, 1 door stood open, light spilling out. Inside, Dr. Kang was waiting, and so was someone else. A man sat in a chair near the wall, dressed in a dark suit that probably cost more than Maya's entire year of rent. He was younger than she expected, maybe mid-30s, with sharp features and eyes that assessed her the moment she walked in. His presence filled the room in a way that made her want to step back. But it was the hospital bed behind him that made her breath catch. Someone was lying there, connected to monitors and IVs, face obscured by the angle and the dim lighting. Miss Kim, Dr. Kang said, his voice careful. Thank you for your patience. Please sit. I'd rather stand. Maya's voice was steadier now, adrenaline sharpening her words. What's going on? Why am I down here? The man in the suit spoke for the first time. Your blood is a perfect match. For what? For him. He nodded toward the bed. Maya's eyes followed the gesture. She could see more now. The pale skin, the shallow rise and fall of breathing, the machines keeping someone alive. I don't understand, she said. You're a hospital. Don't you have blood banks? We do, Dr. Kang said quietly. But this patient has a rare condition. His body rejects standard transfusions. We've tested over 50 donors. You're the first match we found. Maya's mind raced. So you want my blood? Yes. And you'll pay me the 500,000 won? The man in the suit almost smiled. We'll pay you 5 million won. The number hit Maya like cold water. 5 million won. That was nearly 6 months of rent. Her mother's hospital debt paid in full. A headstone. Breathing room. That's a lot of money for a blood donation, she said slowly. It's a lot of blood, the man replied. And you'll need to stay here. We'll require multiple transfusions over the next 48 hours. You'll be monitored, fed, compensated, but you cannot leave until the treatment is complete. You're asking me to stay here with him? Maya gestured at the bed. I don't even know who he is. You don't need to know. Like hell I don't. Maya's fear was shifting into anger now, hot and clarifying. You brought me down here like I'm a prisoner. You're offering me more money than makes sense, and you expect me to just agree? Dr. Kang stepped forward. Miss Kim, I understand this is overwhelming, but the man in that bed will die without your help. We're not asking you to do anything dangerous. Just donate blood. Save a life. Whose life? That's not relevant. It is to me. The man in the suit stood. He was tall, and when he moved closer, Maya instinctively stepped back. Let me be clear, he said, his voice low and controlled. You can walk out of here right now with nothing, or you can stay, help us, and walk out with 5 million won and our gratitude. But if you leave, we won't contact you again, and he will die. Maya's pulse hammered in her ears. Can't you find anyone else? Not in time. She looked back past him at the bed, at the dying man she didn't know. Some part of her wanted to run. Another part, the part that remembered her mother in a hospital bed just like that one, the part that understood what it felt like to be powerless, that part hesitated. Why me? She whispered. Dr. Kang exchanged a glance with the suited man. Then he said, We don't know yet, but your genetic compatibility is extraordinary. We'd like to run a further test, a DNA analysis, to understand why. DNA analysis? It's just a cheek swab, painless. It might give us answers. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. Everything about this felt wrong, but 5 million won felt like salvation. If I do this, she said, I want the money up front, half now, half when it's done. The man in the suit pulled out his phone. Done. Give Dr. Kang your account information. It was that easy. Too easy. Maya's hands trembled as she recited her bank details. Dr. Kang typed them into a tablet, and within seconds, her phone buzzed. A notification from her bank. Deposit, 2.5 million won. Just like that. She stared at the screen, her throat tight. So, the man asked, do we have an agreement? Maya looked back at the hospital bed one more time, at the man she couldn't see clearly, the stranger whose life was somehow in her hands. She thought about her mother, about the bills, about survival. Yes, she said, but I want his name. The suited man's expression didn't change. Park Jae-won. The name meant nothing to her. If you're watching this from anywhere in the world, drop a comment and let me know where you're from and whether you think Maya just made the right choice. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe because what the DNA test reveals is going to change everything.
The first transfusion took 40 minutes. Maya sat in a reclining chair beside the hospital bed, a needle in her arm, watching her blood flow through a clear tube into Park Jae-won's body. Dr. Kang monitored the machines, his eyes never leaving the screens. Heart rate stabilizing, he murmured. No rejection response, blood pressure rising. The man in the suit, Min Ho, she'd learned his name was, stood by the door like a statue. He hadn't left the room once. Maya kept her eyes on the ceiling, trying not to think about how much blood they were taking, trying not to think about the man lying 2 feet away from her, slowly coming back to life with her blood in his veins. That's enough for now, Dr. Kang said finally, removing the needle. He pressed gauze to her arm. How do you feel? Dizzy. That's normal. We'll get your food and water. You need to rest before the next transfusion. When's the next one? 6 hours. Maya closed her eyes. 6 hours. Then another. 48 hours of this. The DNA test, she said, opening her eyes. When will you have results? Dr. Kang hesitated. Tomorrow morning. And you'll tell me what it says? Another pause. Min Ho shifted by the door. Yes, Dr. Kang said, but Maya didn't believe him. They moved her to a private room down the hall, small but clean, with a bed, a bathroom, and a window that overlooked the city. The door locked from the outside. Maya tested it twice. A nurse brought her food, soup, rice, fruit, tea. Too much for someone who just donated blood. Maya ate anyway, her body demanding fuel. Afterward, she lay on the bed and stared at her phone. She texted her manager at the diner saying she had a family emergency. No response. She'd probably lost that job. But she had 2.5 million won in her account now, and another 2.5 coming. It should have felt like relief. Instead, it felt like a trap closing. She must have fallen asleep because the next thing she knew, someone was shaking her shoulder. "Miss Kim, wake up." Maya's eyes snapped open. Dr. Kang stood over her, his face pale in the dim light from the hallway. "What's wrong?" she asked, sitting up too fast. Her head spun. "Nothing's wrong, but Mr. Park is awake. He's asking for you." Maya's stomach dropped. Why? "I don't know, but he's insistent." She followed Dr. Kang back down the hallway, her legs unsteady. The room was brighter now, and for the first time she saw Park Jae-won clearly. He was sitting up in the bed, still pale but alive. His eyes tracked her as she entered, dark, sharp, intense. He looked like someone used to being obeyed. "You're Maya Kim," he said. His voice was rough but stronger than before. "Yes." "Sit." It wasn't a request. Maya glanced at Dr. Kang, who nodded slightly, then took the chair beside the bed. Min Ho stood in his usual spot by the door, watching. Jae-won studied her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "You saved my life," he said finally. "I donated blood, that's all." "That's not all." He shifted, wincing slightly. "Dr. Kang tells me you're the only compatible donor they found out of dozens tested." Maya said nothing. "Why did you agree?" Jae-won asked. "You didn't know who I was. You didn't know if I deserved saving." "I needed the money." Something flickered in his eyes, surprise maybe, or respect. "Honest. I like that." "Can I go back to my room now?" "Not yet." Jae-won leaned back against the pillows, still watching her. "They're running a DNA test. Do you know why?" Maya's heart kicked. Dr. Kang said it would explain the compatibility. "It will, but I already have a theory." "What theory?" Jae-won was quiet for a moment, and Maya realized he was choosing his words carefully. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. "How old are you?" 28. "And your parents?" Maya's chest tightened. "My mother died 8 months ago, cancer. I never knew my father." Jae-won's expression shifted just slightly, but Maya caught it. Pain, regret, something that looked almost like recognition. "Your mother's name?" asked quietly. "Kim Soon-hee." "Why?" The room went silent. Dr. Kang froze. Min Ho's hand moved slightly, like he was reaching for something. "Soon-hee," Jae-won repeated, almost to himself. "That's not possible." "What are you talking about?" Maya's voice rose. "Did you know my mother?" "I knew a woman named Kim Soon-hee 29 years ago. We were—" He stopped himself. "It doesn't matter. She disappeared. I looked for her for months, but she was gone. No trace." Maya's hands gripped the armrests. "That's not the same person. My mother never mentioned anyone named Park Jae-won." "She wouldn't have known that name. I went by something else back then." He looked at her, really looked at her, and Maya saw something in his face that made her blood run cold. He was seeing someone else, someone he'd lost. "You have her eyes," he whispered. Maya stood up, her chair scraping loud against the floor. "I don't know what you're trying to say, but—" "The DNA test will be ready in a few hours, and when it is, we'll both know the truth." "What truth?" He met her gaze, unflinching. "Whether or not you're my daughter." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. The room tilted. She grabbed the back of the chair to steady herself. "That's insane," she said. Her voice shook. My mother would have told me. She would have... Would she have? Jae-won asked quietly. If she thought she was protecting you from my world, from what I am, would she have told you? Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her entire life was rewriting itself in her mind. Her mother's silences, her refusal to talk about Maya's father, the way she'd always said it was better not to know. I need to leave. You can't, Minho said from the door. Not until the transfusions are complete. That was the agreement. I don't care about the agreement. You will when you see the rest of the money, and you will when you see the DNA results, because if I'm right, if you are my daughter, then everything changes. Changes how? Jae-won's smile was thin, bitter. You're not just a blood donor anymore, Maya. You're an heir. Maya backed toward the door, her mind screaming her to run, but Min-ho blocked her path, and Dr. Kang stood frozen, and Jae-won watched her with those dark eyes that might be the same as hers. Let me out, she whispered. In the morning, after we know for sure.
This is where everything falls apart, or comes together. If you're still watching, hit that like button and drop a comment below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now.